Trucker Dump for April 11th, 2009, Episode 10, When Company Policy Overrides Common Sense.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Howdy folks, Todd McKinn here. Okay, as I've no doubt already mentioned, I'm recording a lot of these audio versions of my blog after the fact. It's now July, and it's hotter than that old poster of Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, you guys know the one I mean. I've got the truck turned off, and I'm starting to sweat. So let's get on with it. See what I do to try to keep the noise down for you folks? Don't thank me, just send cash. Today's post is called, When Company Policy Overrides Common Sense. Man, is this post ever relevant in the trucking industry today. Anyone who's heard me speak of trucking knows that I always recommend the large national carriers to new drivers. I've got many reasons for doing so, but that still doesn't mean that they're perfect. Sometimes they leave me shaking my head like a bobblehead doll in a monster truck. Take this morning as an example. I delivered a load in St. James, Missouri, and received my load information to pick up a load in Jonesboro, Arkansas. As sometimes happens, the load was going to have to be picked up late. It wasn't my fault, they just didn't have another driver that was closer. So it was up to me to pick it up as soon as possible. Anyway, in their infinite wisdom, my company, and many other large carriers, always sends us routing information so that we know what route to take. Company policy states that we cannot deviate from the supplied routing. Unfortunately, it's not always the best route to take. Today, it was sending me on every little backwoods, twisty-turvy, hilly state highway to get to Jonesboro. I've had previous experience with these particular roads and knew it would be slow going. In the past, if I saw that the road wasn't practical for whatever reason, I just sent a satellite message to my boss informing her of the route that I was going to take. She always deferred to my judgment and experience, but today was different. Today I have a new boss. More on that in the next post. I sent a message as usual stating that it would be much faster, not to mention safer, to go a little out of route over to Rolla and take US 63 instead of the back roads. It couldn't have been more than 20 to 30 miles out of route, if it was even that. No dice. I get a message back saying that it's against company policy to deviate from the routing. Of course, I already know this, but sometimes you've got to use your brain too. What's going to waste more fuel? 1. Going 20 to 30 miles out of route, but maintaining a fairly steady speed for the entire route. Or 2. Taking curvy roads with huge hills, causing massive speed fluctuations and gear shifting. Now, I don't really know the scientific answer, but my gut tells me that the nice, steady, fairly flat, bigger road would save fuel. Maybe I'm wrong. But what about safety issues? Large companies are always saying that their number one priority is safety. Really? Let's look at that. Which route would be safer? 1. A U.S. highway that is partially 4-lane, fairly flat, and mostly straight. Or 2. Numerous tiny 2-lane highways with no shoulders, narrow bridges, small towns with tight corners, and long sections of tight 30 to 35 mile per hour curves that sometimes require my tractor trailer to be in the oncoming traffic's lane. Not to mention the fact that if you're a team operation, your co-driver isn't sleeping well because of all the curves, speed changes, and roller coaster hills, and they have to drive later on that day. I trust that my point is made. A smaller company might be able to bend certain company policies if it'll benefit both the company and the driver, but a large company can't afford to or won't make exceptions as easily, even if it's a smart thing to do. And in that regard, this round goes to the smaller company. As for my trip this morning, I was right about 2 things. 1, it was as curvy and hilly as I remembered, so it took me an hour and a half longer to make the trip than if I had taken US 63. And 2, the evil overlord, my wife and co-driver, didn't sleep well, so it's going to be a bad day. Too bad my new boss can't trade me places just for today. I bet he'd trust my judgment the next time I offered it. Company policy or not. Dang, I love it when I'm right. So what kind of wacky company policies does your company have? Something that any Joe off the street can figure out, but they can't seem to grasp with the common sense vice grips. And I know this isn't trucking specific, so I expect comments from you non-trucking peeps too. Get on over to abouttruckdriving.com, do a search for TD010, and leave your comments for all to see. You can also email me at truckerdump@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/ToddMcCann. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. If you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast or the written blog, you can do so from abouttruckdriving.com, or you can subscribe to the audio version from within the iTunes store. Thanks for listening. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way.